Hello, everyone. You can see what's on screen. You know my thoughts. You don't need me to expound upon it, but I just keep getting people tweeting at me. Did you see it? Yes. Yes, I do. This is kind of my job. I need to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't like seeing it. But I saw it. Inevitably, when I go out of town for a convention or whatnot, I will come back to some big news thing that at least has my fandom in an uproar. And this time it was this. Retrax. One of the worst toys in Beast Wars. One of the most unplayable transforming toys of all time is getting a reissue. And at this point, I genuinely do not know what Hasbro is doing with the reissue Beast Wars line. Don't get me wrong. I like seeing the oddball choices that aren't from the show, but there's a litany of reasons why you do anyone besides Retrax at this point. I'm genuinely convinced at this point that they are just like digging through old molds that they're finding in their warehouses. And just whichever one they come across that's complete, that's the one they reissue. Now, to be fair, Retrax is probably pretty fresh. They only had one repaint, and that was in Japan. So it's probably still in pretty good condition. But, again, why? Why one of the worst ones? Jeez. And it's on a rock bubble, too. That's like the most insulting part of this. Is like it's on a rock bubble packaging, which he never had before. Like there's supposed to be some distinction to the rock bubble. The rock bubble is supposed to be something that is special and unique to just a certain class of Transformer. Retrax does not deserve it. Retrax does not belong in that thing. Get him out. Get him out. So yeah, this was confusing. This is highly confusing. I can think of no good reason to reissue Retrax in any way, shape, or form. Not from a budgetary reason, not from a nostalgia reason. It's just a really weird one. And I already go to Walmart's and I see Cyber Shark peg warming, and Cyber Shark is actually a really cool toy. And then this one has no chance. This thing has no chance of not ending up on the clearance aisle. But what's most confounding about all of this, about Retrax, of all things, when I look at this toy, I cannot help but think to myself, how many other toys are out there? How many other Transformer toys have gone through the same thing, have actually had, how many other Beast Wars toys could they have done that are not Retrax? How many more could they have done that would have actually been fun? I have a list today. I'm going to show you some of these are going to be toys that should be out by now, and for some reason they've been skipped in the Beast Wars reissue line. And then there's others that are not the most popular or well-known toys, but I think they should be in the line by now, at least in line before this one was in the line. We're going to start in obvious places. How about Black Arachnia? One of the best written characters in Transformer history. Easily one of the best ones in Beast Wars. Rivaled only by Dinobot as far as just quality of writing. Maybe Megatron too, when I think of it that way. But her toy in the original Beast Wars toy line, if you were not aware, was not nearly accurate to how she looked in the cartoon. There's a lot of purples and greens in her color scheme that, of course, were not present in her robot mode in the cartoon. Now, when the 10th anniversary came up in Japan for the TJOmega line, they corrected that and gave her an all black and gold paint job. She looked a lot better. America never did that. In Beast Wars 10th, they did Tarantulas, but they never did Black Arachnia. A little bit weird that way. So this is a Tigatron situation where I do think this one should be reissued, but I don't think it should be completely accurate to how the original toy was. I do think a gold recoloring is appropriate here for those who couldn't get a hold of the TJOmega, and for those who are nostalgic for a Black Arachnia who actually kind of, sort of looks like Black Arachnia, how we remember her. And even while we're staring at this mold, a nice reminder, Tarantulas hasn't been reissued either. Little bit weird that such prominent characters would get shafted before the pillbug. All right. Speaking of bugs, where's Waspinator? He's one of the most popular characters from Beast Wars. This one might actually have some good reason. That mold has been used a lot. A lot. You know, you're not talking like the buzzsaw. You're talking like the buzzsaw repaint. You're talking you are talking the 10th reissue, the TJOmega reissue. You're talking about the remold into Dirge Gun. There's a lot of things going on with this one. So I can understand this mold might be a little bit too trashed to reuse again without completely renewing it. And let's be honest, the Beast Wars reissue line is not about renewing molds and kind of getting the classic characters and toys back. It's a price grab with remold, like rerun figures. That's basically what it is. It's kind of a cash grab line. I still don't know why Waspinator is not there for his popularity, but yeah, I can speculate as to why. So one that does not have that excuse is Silverbolt. We still do not have any kind of... I would argue that Silverbolt is one of the last major characters we could actually get away with doing a modern legacy version of, because he has no transmetal elements. So Hasbro has been on record as saying that the transmetals are something they would like to do, but there is a lot of difficulty to it because the chroming process, one, fans and longtime fans don't really like because it flakes off and cracks all the time, but it is a very expensive process these days. So the toys would have to be far more expensive than they already are to justify it. And I would tell Hasbro, as I say every single time I get a chance, metallic paint, we're fine. That's all we want. Just metallic paint instead of the chrome. They will look great. They will survive the test of time. But we do not have that issue with Silverbolt. He's perfectly fine. And with no figure of him on the horizon anywhere, preferably I'd like a Voyager at some point in the Legacy line, but I don't think I'm going to get that anytime soon. But in the meantime, Black Arachnia needs her boo. I want this toy back. There's no Dinobot reissue. Why is there no Dinobot reissue? This is one where, yes, I would actually say they could justify recasting the mold. The toy itself is of a super popular character. It was redone in Beast Wars 10th, but the paint job was not nearly as accurate as it could have been. Certainly not as accurate as Takara's take on it. I would love a version, like even if it was just like light, it was even like beige, like this one. I would love to have this one just without the translucent plastic. You know, just solid orange, and just, that way it's familiar, that way it's nostalgic, but it also is more durable. I would absolutely take that. A lot of Dinobots have durability problems too. That's another big reason why I feel like this one needs to be redone. The Beast Wars 10th has 2 different shades of plastic on it that can suffer from GPS. That's really bad. So yeah, I would absolutely be in favor of that. And it's probably the most popular character from Beast Wars. How can you not reissue him? This is where I start wondering if the molds even exist or if they even know where the molds are anymore. This mold has not been used since Armada, to my knowledge. I cannot remember another usage of it after the Armada Grimlock that they did. Point being, the only thing I could think of why this doesn't exist now is because the mold is lost, or the mold has been used too many times and is too degraded, or they'd have to recast it. As we said, again, this is something of a cheap nostalgia grab line, so it's probably not going to come out if the mold is too damaged. If it's not, we'll definitely see it at some point. But for now, that's the only excuse I can think of. Look at this. Talk about molds that haven't been used much. Who would not want a new Magna Boss? I know a lot of us were kind of clamoring for Kingdom to do like a Commander class Magna Boss set, which would be awesome. But yeah, this set I think is just this set is needed. This set is needed. it's such a cool set, but like Ironhide had so many like little ball jointed parts, it's very easy to lose pieces off of him. Tusks, the little cannons on him. Silverbolt is the biggest problem here because it is gold plastic. It would have to be recast in a much more sturdy brown, which I don't think anyone would have an issue with. I would go a step farther on this release, and I would go ahead and paint Prowl's head blue. I would go ahead and give us a Leo Jr. in this box. Call it Prowl in the US. Call it Leo Prime. You know, do whatever you want, but that has to be Leo Jr. at the very least, because it's something that never came out in America. I would be okay with all of them having their American names, or Japanese names, Skywarp and Santon. I think that'd separate them out, without having to because they don't have to worry about name dumping. We have, Silverbolt, Prowl, Ironhide, they're all covered. We're not gonna lose those names anytime soon. I would love to have this set again, because mine is in shambles and broken gold plastic bits. And if we're doing one, we gotta do the other. We gotta do Tripodicus. There's a sadistic part of me that actually kind of wants this repainted into how they looked in Beast Wars. I know they're not supposed to be red because that's just a lighting effect on some unfinished models, but it would be interesting and referential if they were to come out that way. But no, you got to go toy accurate on these. I would absolutely be down for this. This is, again, because these were insectoid figures, lots of the legs were ball jointed, very easy to lose. This one had launching missiles, which meant, those were easier to lose. A lot of parts on this toy were easy to lose. So just on the sake of getting it back out in, just for the sake of having a complete refresh on it, and an easy way to getting it with its original parts and everything intact, I think it's worth doing again. This is the only time where I'm really playing with the price points. I'm trying to stick to deluxes, if you haven't noticed. I'm skipping basics, because the basics are way overpriced, tuned at a deluxe price point. Basics were $5 back in the day, deluxes were $10. So logically, two basics should be packed together to create a package with, a $22 or $25 value. So why are you trying to sell Rat Trap and Pterosaur at, full deluxe retail value? That doesn't work. And we showed you that doesn't work, and that they're going to do it again. I'm guessing they just don't want to load Walmart down with different price points, though they already have. Because they issued out 2 Ultra Class figures and a Mega Class with Scorponok. So they're already doing weird size classes. Why not just throw in a small size class while you're at it? It doesn't seem like you're doing any more harm at this point. I'm getting very long-winded just to explain why I haven't thrown Air Razor or Quick Strike on this list, because of course they need to come out again too, but priorities here. I'm trying to stick to the larger figures. There's some other ones that I think would be a lot more interesting to do if someone were to actually have the guts up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and release them instead of the plastic Madball. Shadow Panther. How cool would this be? Keep in mind, Shadow Panther had an online US release back in the day, but it was the Japanese version, Japanese box and everything. Shadow Panther himself has never been on the original American packaging. So imagine a reissue of him where you actually had a Predacon Shadow Panther on card in the rock bubble with the black, with the black and yellow Cheetor artwork, black and silver Cheetor artwork on the box instead, the Predacon emblems. That would be so cool. It'd be so cool because it's a piece of Beast Wars that barely made it to America, that now finally gets to look correct in your sealed collection, or just to hit a piece of nostalgia where it's a Beast Wars toy, but you never saw it hanging in box at a toy store before. That's actually a little bit interesting, isn't it? I would love to see this. I would love to see Shadow Panther in an American box. Seems cool to me. Personal favorites. I'm going to throw a couple personal ones in here just for the sake of fun. Man-Terror, I do love me some Manti. I love me some Mantises. I would really want to see Man-Terror back. And mostly because he relies a lot on ball joints for some really large arms. So just to have a completely fresh and clean one that's going to be nice and tight, I think is worthwhile doing. Other personal favorite would have been Snapper. I didn't grab a picture of him because we're keeping basics off, but yeah, Snapper's way too expensive on the aftermarket. I want me some turtles. I like turtles. Simple as that. More interesting choices. How about more interesting choices? It's not Torka. It's not Torka, is it? No, it's Elaforka. It is the Japanese Blendtron version of that toy. Number one, we are avoiding the gold plastic nightmare that is Torka, which is basically the reason why I want it reissued in the first place. But also, this is a better color scheme because it actually looks more like the animals that originate to create it. I wouldn't even mind going as far as like creating a completely original color scheme and just calling it Torka again. You know, give it that gray pale, give it like that gray skin of an actual elephant instead of the gold plastic. You know, give it like an actual orca black paint. Like, I think it looks super cool. But we do Elaforka, and you could call it Torka, call it Elaforka, call it whatever you want here in America. It doesn't matter. This thing has a crazy aftermarket price because for some reason, a lot of people are nostalgic for Torka, but they don't want the gold plastic, so they go get the Japanese version. I would love to do the same, but it's like a $200 toy now, way out of my price point to go back for an older figure. So let's reissue it. Let's reissue it in the more popular Japanese colors, and let's get that. Let's get a piece of that nostalgia buck. This is the kind of thing that I think collectors would jump for. Not the tiny little green Unicron ball that is Retrax, but actual color scheme. Like this would be cool. This would be really cool. I got one more on this list, and once again, I'm playing with the price points again, but I do think there is a good reason why we include it, and it's obvious as soon as you see it. For all the reissuing the Beast Wars is doing right now, the original 2-pack of Optimus Primal as a bat and Megatron as an alligator has not seen the light of day. These are, again, two molds that really haven't been used much. You had a purple repaint in Japan and a red and blue, much more Optimus Prime repaint of the bat. And then one Onyx Primal done up in for Bakon. That's the only times these molds have been used. So they should be good if Hasbro knows where they are. That is like the big crux of all of this. Is not only finding all the individual molds, because keep in mind there's multiple shades of plastic, multiple sprues, etc. There's a lot of molds they have to recover in order to actually be able to reissue something. But if they can find these and they can put that 2-pack together again, I feel like that is like one of the best things that they could reissue. The very first Beast Wars toys. No one really talks about it, but when you look at it, think about it, seems pretty obvious to me. So this is basically all my one long-winded reaction to this whole Retrax nonsense. The fact that Retrax, of all toys, is getting a reissue, but none of these on this list are yet? I don't know. And I worry when things like Retrax get reissued because there are toys on this list that I would very much love, and I know fans would love to get their hands on them. But things like Retrax make me fear that the line won't survive long enough to get to them. I feel like Hasbro needs to hit these bigger characters and these more interesting toy choices before going to things like this, because there's still a bunch that deserve it. And I really want it to happen before the line accidentally dies. So thank you for joining me for this little piece of opinion. Just for everyone who thought what my thoughts on Retrax were. That's my thought. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.